Hi, I want to talk about a topic that I've always been very interested in, and that is birth order and how our birth order shapes our personalities. I'm actually the youngest child of 3. I have an older brother and an older sister. We're 7 and 5 years apart. That always made me the baby growing up, and I'm pretty sure that definitely kind of shaped part of my personality. I don't want to attribute everything to it, but I just thought it was always something really interesting. A little backstory. This study was started by a psychologist named Alfred Adler in the 1920s. He thought our birth order affects our personality. I was actually a psychology major myself in college, so I know a thing or two. So according to Google, the youngest child are creative, the rebel, charming, life of the party, will pick a career in design, writing, something creative, and we're also highly sociable, confident, and funny. I'll start with creativity. I would say yes, that's pretty accurate. I've always considered myself more creative. I liked writing. I remember I liked drawing growing up, but then I kind of stopped. I don't know why. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe because my parents told me to do homework instead. I had the dream of publishing my own book, but of course that has not happened yet. Now I actually have a career in marketing, where I do a lot of writing and coming up with email campaigns. So I would say yes, this is pretty accurate for me. Social. It depends on the situation. I definitely I'm more social when I have a drink in me, but I think that's true for everyone. And I was definitely more social when I was in my college days. I joined a lot of club because, I like to socialize with people. I like to be around people. As I'm getting older, of course, I tend to stick with my close circle of friends as well as my partner, my husband, and my family. But I think I wouldn't say that's unique to being the youngest child. So rebel. I don't know about the rebel. I mean, I didn't act out or anything, but both my siblings, they're in healthcare field, and I was kind of the odd one out being going into marketing, into business. According to Google, trusty old Google, we're the rebel because our parents would be more strict, or they're just more attentive to their first kid because that's their first child. They're trying to do everything right by the books. And then by the time I came along as the third child, they were just kind of like, old news. So I guess they'll just let me do whatever, and then that made me able to explore my own likes better, but I'm not sure about that. So that's out of the way. That's more of the pop psychology. I wanted to get a little deeper into how being the youngest child kind of shaped me. I'd say I grew up in a pretty happy family. My parents support us in the best way that they can. My parents were always working, but they were really caring. They tried to give us the best that they can, and I had 2 older siblings who always looked after me. I had an older brother and an older sister, so I kind of feel like there was like a good balance. So I was kind of a tomboy, but I also really liked to play with makeup. I had someone to look after me all the time. It was great when you're young. However, it became a double whammy as I was growing up, and I had to be more independent. I felt almost a little lost, a little confused, still feeling like things will be taken care of for me, but of course that was not the case. So when I was in my earlier 20s, I was a little bit aloof to a lot of things, but now that I'm more aware, I try to do my best to help. Another thing I notice is being the youngest child, I don't always speak up. I don't always speak up because I feel like my opinion doesn't matter. Now, I want to preface this by saying my parents are great, no resentment there, but as the youngest child, especially the youngest daughter, your parents don't necessarily come to ask you for your opinion. They already have an idea of what's best for you, what's best for me. So everything was decided for me. And when they would go ask for opinion, they're gonna ask for my brother. He's the oldest. So I kind of always grew up feeling like, oh, there's no point even sharing how I feel, because it doesn't matter. It's probably childish. Somebody else more senior than me, they'll know better. That kind of translated into a lot of different areas in my life, like such as in work situations. I won't necessarily speak up even though I think I have an idea, but then there's always this voice telling me, oh, don't even say it, it's probably really childish, just let the manager share their idea and just go along with it because they're the manager, they're more senior than you. I became kind of aware of this thinking, because I know that this thinking is not serving me. Society kind of rewards those who speak up, who ask for what they want. Because of this mentality that I was kind of inhibited by, I didn't really ask for raises. I didn't know how to negotiate very well. I shouldn't blame everything on that. Of course, that also falls on me. I have to learn these things on my own, and especially with dating. When I dated people older than me, I kind of looked to them to take care of me and to make decisions. They would, of course, ask for my opinion, but I don't know. I just felt like whatever you want to do, that's fine. It doesn't matter what I want, because you probably know better than I do. So as you can see, that kind of thinking is not going to be great for a person long term. If you're trying to become a successful person, you have to voice your concerns, your opinions. It helped that I became aware of this, because now I challenge myself in everyday situations to, oh, actually, you do have a say. Why don't you tell them what you want to do? You suggest this place to go instead of letting the other person decide. I noticed that for some people, this comes very natural to them. They have no problem voicing their concerns, voicing their opinions, telling other people what to do, but that doesn't come natural to me. It's very foreign and makes me feel very uncomfortable, but I still challenge myself to do that. And I noticed that when I do, the other person, it doesn't get as offended as I thought. They'll just be like, okay. And then I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I've just been kind of undermining myself for so long for no reason. I noticed this in group settings because I'm going to look for somebody else to give direction, but I'm just as capable of speaking up, voicing my opinions. My opinion matters too. This requires me to relearn how I view the world, view different settings, but definitely gotten better, and it helps to be aware. Another thing, growing up as the princess, although I wouldn't really say I was the princess, I was bossed around a lot by my older siblings. I always thought of myself as the young one. I remember just graduating out of college. When I got a job, I was one of the youngest people there. Like, I had coworkers and managers, they would cut me slack. They'll just be like, oh, she'll make mistakes, she's still very young. And then I'm like, cool, I could get used to it. As I'm there longer, there's gonna be people younger than me showing up. I can't behave as reckless, because now that I'm not the youngest one, people are not going to cut me as much slack, so I have to step up my game. As we get older, we're held to a higher standard. If we act like we did when we're 21, people are just going to look at us like, what the hell's wrong with this person? But as someone who grew up getting used to being the baby, this was an even harder transition, and it just felt uncomfortable, but you just, like most things in life, just get over it. It helps to kind of talk about, and that's kind of why I wanted to share with you guys. Maybe if you're the youngest child, you know what I'm talking about and you can relate. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like I said, I'm used to being taken care of versus me taking care of somebody else. This was also something I noticed when I started dating. There was one ex-boyfriend. Kind of spoke up about this. He was complaining that I didn't take care of him when he was sick, and he would always take care of me, look after my needs. and then I'm like, huh? Like, that just caught me off guard because I never even thought about this. I'm just so used to somebody taking care of me, so now I have to take care of you? It sounds really selfish, but that was just kind of how my mind worked. Cut me some slack. I was also much younger then, so cut me some slack. I'm just having a heart-to-heart. So taking care of somebody else didn't come natural to me. I know that it comes very natural to other people, older siblings. I don't want to stereotype because I do have friends that are also the youngest sibling who are very motherly, so maybe it's just me. It's just the way I was brought up. Who knows? So in conclusion, I would say that myself growing up as the youngest child, it was a breeze. But as I got older, I felt more and more out of my element because now I can't hide behind the being young, like the youngest one, in an effort to just be a better person. I always challenge myself to break out of my comfort zone, speak up, be proactive, tend to other people's needs. Some people just are better at these things. I will try. When Henry, that's my husband's name, he said that when he was at work, his HR had an assignment where I believe it's like, take your hand out, put both hands over your knees or legs. For me, naturally, I put my left hand over my right hand. For some people, maybe they put their right hand over their left hand. But the point of that exercise is that your brain will do what feels naturally to you. You could try to put the opposite hand over that hand, your other hand, but that takes mental effort. Versus for me, what comes naturally is my left hand over my right hand. But if I wanted to do my right hand over my left hand, I can. I have to think about it a second. We will do what just feels natural to us, and if we want to change ourselves, it requires mental effort. Do you get it? Anyway, I thought that was really interesting because naturally I just used to being taken care of, and I can take care of the other person, but I just have to think about it for a second. I'm not gonna automatically, oh, let me do this for you. I sound very selfish, don't I? Do you feel that way, youngest child? If anyone's out there watching, youngest child, let me know. So I'm relearning a lot of things that hindered me, but I think I also embrace some of these traits. It kind of gives me something to work on, and it's always nice to have a goal. It kind of keeps me going. Right now, I am married to an only child. If you want to watch a video on that, let me know. Let me know if you think that your birth order affects your personality. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.